What's up, everybody? Hey, Tom Laird here, host of the Advice from a Call Center Geek podcast and founder of Expivia. For exceptional contact center outsourcing, trust Expivia. We're fully AI-driven, as all of you know, and can handle voice, email, chat, and all of your digital channels. Our 600-seat USA contact center is expert in healthcare, financial services, insurance, tech support, retail, and more. Experts on the NICE CX1 platform, we ensure seamless customer experiences. DM me or visit expiviausa.com for more.
This is Advice from a Call Center Geek, a weekly podcast with a focus on all things call center. We'll cover it all from call center operations, hiring, culture, technology, and education. We're here to give you actionable items to improve the quality of yours and your customers' experience. This is an evolving industry with creative minds and ambitious people like this guy. Not only is his passion call center operations, but he's our host. He's the CEO of Expivia Interaction Marketing Group and the Call Center Geek himself, Tom Laird.
Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Advice from a Call Center Geek, the Call Center Contact Center podcast. We try to give you some actionable items to take back in your contact center, improve the overall quality, improve your agent experience, hopefully improve your customer experience as well. My name is Tom Laird. I am the CEO here at Expivia Interaction Marketing. Expivia is a 600-seat hybrid contact center outsourcer located here in the States, in Erie, Pennsylvania. How's everybody doing? It's good to talk to everybody. It's starting to become like fall-like here in northwestern Pennsylvania. It's my favorite time of year. Football's back. I'm fired up. It's a Friday. I don't know, maybe once a year, I do this podcast and kind of just update it. I think it's really informative and it's fun for me because we experiment a lot with this. So it's kind of cool stuff. I think hopefully I can bring to you and talking about speech analytics. And I know it's a hot topic in the industry. There's a lot of, I guess, work being done on real-time translation and agent assist and all those things. But I want to, not really use it or really talk about it in the scheme of what companies are using with analytics, but what we as an organization or a contact center, can use from the kind of the raw data that speech analytics can offer you from customer journey and the word clouds and kind of that core product of analytics, right? A lot of us just kind of look at a dashboard, we see some keywords and say, wow, that's really cool, and maybe get some insights. But I want to give you kind of 10 unique use cases on how we have used analytics in the past, how we're using it right now. We try to maximize for our clients the use cases that we can do for analytics. And it's such a cool tool that we can really kind of think things through and do some, I think, really, really interesting things with it. So let me start with this. So again, this is kind of 10 unique use cases for speech analytics. Some of them, I think you'll kind of get it. Other ones could be a little bit kind of different in something hopefully that can spark your mind. So again, I do have comments on this is live on LinkedIn as well. So if anybody, hi Sonia, how you guys doing? David, what's up, buddy? If any of you guys have a comment, have a question, I'll try to, as I go through this, try to answer those as well. So number one, and I think is something that we can all relate to speech analytics, and that's proactive customer support, right? So many of us are in we're in contact centers. We answer problems as they come in. So many times we will have, higher ups, or for us, we're BPO, have a client be like, hey, what are you hearing? Right. And then we'll try to talk to agents and maybe they'll tally some things, or we'll look at dispositions and say, hey, this is kind of what we're kind of hearing. It's pretty subjective, right? And it doesn't allow for a lot of proactive customer support. But when we're using analytics, one of the big things that we're using is to be able to tell clients before things start to happen, when we start to hear rumblings, right? Because all of those keywords, all that big data is being analyzed, right? So we can start to listen and hear, right, that customers are starting to say a product is too expensive. Shipping is being delayed. Hey, there's an issue on the website, right? Where maybe one or two reps might not be able to put that piece together, but when every single call is being looked at and every single call is being translated, and we're doing a lot of data analysis on that, or the system is doing it, you can start to see that right in front of your eyes. So you can send that email out to customers before things happen, right? Maybe they're not going to have an issue, but they're in a client segment that could have an issue in a week to try to start to fix some of these things before you have the fire that you have to put out. So it's one of the main reasons I love analytics. That's from doing the proactive kind of customer support, I think is really cool. Number 2 is something that you guys have heard me talk a lot about. I get probably more questions on this than any other thing, and that is rewarding and incenting your agents off of sentiment, right? We reward agents off of great CSAT. A lot of you guys reward people off of great NPS, right? I think sentiment scoring is even more important than those. We won't get into that. I have 42,000 podcasts and talks that I've done on that and why I think sentiment score is more important or is a better metric than NPS and CSAT. But to be able to pull a report and almost rank your associates, not just on their QA scores, but rank them on their tone, on their word usage, right? How customers are really relating to them. And it's not just on 5% of their calls or 2% of their calls. It's on every call that they took, right? So you get the real picture, right, of where agents are, what their tone is. Are they treating customers appropriately, right? So this is kind of the big piece of our attitude and effort. So this is really that core attitude piece. Now we're able to really incentivize and pay our reps and show them and even show our clients now that we are talking to your customers the proper way. And if we have somebody that's kind of out of the norm, then they're going to get some extra QA, extra monitoring, extra coaching, but an awesome way to incentivize your associates off of a real KPI that they can't really argue, right? The third kind of unique use case, and maybe this isn't as unique, right, is generating marketing data, right? When we talk about, again, I know I love the use case of saying that the too expensive. That was such a huge use case for us when we did have a retail client. They did launch a new project or new product. And they were very concerned about price point. And we did have a huge amount of customers that called back on that product and said, hey, we like it, but I can't buy it. It was 38%. I'll never forget. It was 38% of the customers that said the product was too expensive when we had inbound customer support. We were asking questions, talking to customers. So there's so much information that your customers are telling you that you don't know about, right? It is more fun, and analytics is such a better tool when you find out the things you don't know about, right? We can always track the things that we want to track, right? Certain keywords, certain issues that we think we know could be a problem. But when you find out the things that you had no idea about, and the analytics can kind of dig and kind of open that onion, that's when you can really improve your customer experience, your customer support. A huge piece of what analytics really can do, right? And I think that the fourth one is really finding out the whys, right? So we always look at agent sentiment, but then we also, almost more importantly, especially for our clients and our BPO clients, is looking at customer sentiment, right? So we can talk about, again, CSAT and NPS, but the cool thing about looking at, where a customer segment is at. So let's just say, again, for an example, we see 50% of the customers that call, let's say us, when we're doing this, their tone is negative, right? So they're ticked off before they even talk to the agent. And the great thing about analytics is a lot of times, we don't know why that is, but with analytics, we can find out the whys, right? So finding out the whys is a huge piece of this, right? So looking at and talking to a customer, all right, hey, customer XYZ, company XYZ, 50% of your customers are calling in are negative, right? We want to move that thing to, or I guess we could move it back down this way. We want to move that down to 40% of the customer base. So if we can move it down to 40%, that's a huge jump. How do we do that? We are then looking at those keywords, right? And we can turn that and kind of view them by a negative sentiment, right? So what are the negative keywords that customers are using? And a lot of times, what we'll see has nothing to do with the agent. It has to do with the website. It has to do with logistics. It has to do with emails not being responded to. A lot of different things that happen in the whole customer journey. So again, finding the whys out, awesome use case for analytics. One of the other things, and the fifth kind of reason is we can note frustration for certain specific things. So a lot of times you will have customers call in that you handle fine. They seem really happy the entire time. They understand that there was an issue. You're handling that issue, but they'll bring up a side issue that they're frustrated about. So again, talking about a retail client, they could be like, let's say they're calling for their refrigerator and there's a piece that they ordered that's been delayed. So they call in and say, hey, I got this. You guys were supposed to send me this piece for my refrigerator, fix it, yesterday. It wasn't overnighted. Our agent can be like, oh my gosh, ma'am, I'm so sorry. I'm going to, make sure that gets done right now. And the customer's fine. And, we can say, hey, is there anything else I can help you with? She's like, no, but she's like, I just wish the light was brighter in the freezer. Like that thing is so dark. Right. But other than that, no, what, I'm fine. Right. And again, this is probably a terrible example, but I think you get the point. Right. So that call was viewed as a positive sentiment. Right. We helped the customer. The customer wasn't really ticked. Right. They like our brand, but there was a piece of frustration in there that, maybe they didn't really deal with. Right. Or we would have never caught or really talked about. But we can now, with analytics, we can note frustration, right? So we can start to look at, is there little frustrating things? And a lot of those times are the things that are boiling underneath the surface that become the next negative sentiment type thing. So again, noting frustration, I think, is a really cool and relatively newer use case and also option for a lot of analytics platforms. All right, number 6, and you guys I just kind of did a big video on this, and the feedback on this is always really cool, and that's why I kind of probably do it, because I do get a lot of feedback on it, and we have some really cool conversations. But understanding what real SLA variance for a customer base should be or could be, right? So again, for our use case as a BPO, we have a lot of clients that say, hey, listen, I want top-notch service. But again, my budget cannot afford to be staffed at an 80-30, right? 80% of the calls answer within 30 seconds or less. What can we do, Tom? Well, what we can do is start taking calls, and we can benchmark and look at analytics. And we can start to see at what time period does positive customer sentiment start to turn to negative customer sentiment, right? And again, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this because I just did really like a whole video and things on this. But a lot of times we'll see that certain customer base, and maybe it's because of what has happened before where there's been extremely long wait times, are now trained and programmed, right, wrong, or indifferent, to wait 2 to 3 to 4 minutes before they start to go negative, right? So we can really use analytics to be the tool, right, that shows that. Now, Jeremy Butnick, who used to be the head of customer support for Overstock. I forget where he's at now. I'm sorry for forgetting names and things. But he brought up a couple things with me, talking about even like virtual callbacks. Like, do you offer them? Do you not offer them? Do you offer them within 3 minutes, 4 minutes? Like, there's so many different things that we can do and that we haven't even really thought about yet. But I guess the bottom line is you can measure and kind of look at different nuances of customer experience, right? And all that technology, right? How long can we wait? How long should we do messages for? Try to really pinpoint and kind of use analytics to see what is the extent that you can maybe make efficiency possible in your contact center without ticking off your customers, right? So people talk about the ROI on analytics. That's a huge piece of what I think is huge ROI on analytics. The seventh kind of piece that people really don't think about is tracking silence, right, per agent. So if we know overall that we're seeing a lot of silence on the phone, we know that we probably have a training issue, or there's some questions that are coming in that we have not prepared our associates for. So tracking silence, I think, is a huge issue, number one, for the overall macro, but we can pinpoint it down to an agent as well, right? So we can also see that maybe an agent has having issues answering questions, certain soft skills, right, to talk through as they're searching for things might be lacking, right? It's a huge indicator of some weakness in training or some weakness of an agent's skill level that we've not done a really good job of giving them. So I think that's a really cool use case and things that we don't really think about as well. So, right? So whether it's putting people on hold or just now, and a lot of times we can't track mute, right? In your CX platform. You can track if somebody's on hold, but a lot of times we will mute their silence. Now we're tracking that number and seeing if there's some, again, rumblings under the surface before things really start to happen. Another really cool, I think, use case for it. Number 8, and people go out and they spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on fraud protection when maybe they have an analytic platform and they haven't thought about how they can use that platform. We use our speech analytics for a lot of our clients for a ton of different fraud protections, right? So remember, we can track what people say. So if we find a pattern of when fraud or when people are trying to commit fraud, right, such as a customer calls into one of our financial services clients and, for example, says, hey, will you change my address and please send me a new card out, right? Now, a lot of times that is not a big deal, but it could be, right? So we have all of these different scenarios, especially that we've come across with financial services clients that we built in, that you can do this with anything, right? And build in these scenarios. So these calls will automatically get flagged, right? So we just kind of put in there, right? Send a new card, change address, a ton of different variables for those. And then boom, that goes to our QA. We're going to make sure that we listen to that. We're going to watch that account, make sure everything is good, or we're not even going to do it. Things like that if we've had other issues with that account in the past. Ton that you can do from a fraud protection standpoint on analytics that you don't have to go and spend a ton of money if you already have this tool. Number 9, again, is I think tracking competitors is kind of interesting and fun. If you have a list of your competitors, anytime that your customers talk about those competitors, we can rank them positive or negative. I think that that's a really unique use case and cool use case, again, from the marketing standpoint that goes beyond just the products that you're doing, but looking at the macro marketing environment or sales environment that you may be, looking at, and understanding how does your customer base view you compared to your competitors, right? And maybe that's good, maybe that's bad, but again, even if it's bad, it gives you something to think about, something to work on. And then we can look at other keywords about why do they think the competitors are doing a better job, right? Just an unbelievable, awesome tool. All right. And then the next one is, and people don't really, I guess, get this totally, is you can use this on a ton of different channels, right? So voice is the one we always think about, but email and chat are also things that can be really good because it's not subjective into what we're saying. It's actually written word, which makes the translation, pretty darn easy, or the transcription pretty darn easy. And I know I get a lot of this. Well, our emails have this heading and it ruins. You can take all that stuff out, right? So like subject and all that kind of stuff, you can tell the platform, don't look at that. Just kind of look at the body, the meat of this. And I think you can get some really good insights to that as well. So again, this list continues to grow for us. We are trying to think, and we do some talking to our agents and customers all the time about, what are some things that you'd want to see with this, or what are some of the things that you have questions about? How can we make this thing better? How can we dig deeper? So I think it's a really awesome tool. And like anything, we have all these tools. If you really utilize it and you really put the time in to make analytics a priority, it will become one of the most useful drive the most efficiency, drive the most insights of anything in your contact center. So again, I'm a huge fan. I love that the ROI that we've been able to generate for our customers, based on some of the analytic things that we've done in the past. And it just keeps getting better and better. All right, guys, that's what I got for you today. I hope that is helpful. I hope that maybe generates some of your brain a little bit to maybe think through, right? We're heading into fourth quarter. A lot of people are starting to make and think about what purchases do I need for first quarter. If you are looking for some of the things we talked about here, I think, analytics should be something definitely on your list. Thanks, guys. Love all you. Thank you so much. Love to see a couple more reviews on iTunes. If any you can throw that out to me, I would really appreciate it. And I will talk to all you guys next week.